Hey guys! So today we're going to do another beginner series tutorial, and that's for base. So foundation, concealer, and powder. And I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible, and then I'll add on other videos later for contour, blush, highlight, and the rest of the face as well. What you're going to need today is a beauty blender, or if you prefer a brush, then you can use a brush. I can show you both ways, one on each side of my face. You'll also need a foundation. I'm going to use a drugstore brand so that it's accessible to everybody. This is Maybelline's Fit Me 110 Porcelain. Always porcelain. You're also going to need a concealer, so I'm using Tarte Shape Tape and Fair Neutral. You'll also need a powder to set, because anytime you're using a liquid, you're going to need to set it with a powder. So I'm using Makeup Forever's HD Loose Translucent Powder. You'll need a small brush to set under your eyes and in the small crevices of your face, and then you'll need a larger brush to set the rest of your face. So you start with your foundation, you give it a little shake. So for the Beauty Blender half, I'm just going to take a little bit of foundation and pour it on, and then you dot it where you want it. So just kind of all over, like that. So if you're using the Beauty Blender, then you just take the Beauty Blender and you're just pressing the foundation into your skin by bouncing it. If you have areas where you need more coverage, so for me I need more coverage on my chin area, it's where I always get acne, then you should start with those places. That's where you should start with your dollop of foundation and start blending there and then moving outward, so when you have less on your sponge, it's just sort of covering the area as opposed to really condensing the foundation onto that part of your skin. So again, here I have some redness, so I put a few dots right here. And then on the outer part of my face, I don't really have any issues, so that's why I didn't really put anything out there, and I'm just using what's already on my sponge to blend through. Another thing important to remember with foundation is to get over onto your ears a bit and down along your chin and a bit down your neck, just so you have a nice even canvas. Okay, so that's what it looks like with the one side with the foundation done, this side with the Beauty Blender. So then for the brush, what I'll do, pour a little bit sparingly on your hand and then use your brush to pick it up. But then same premise, so put it where you need it. And then with a brush you just use little strokes downward. The reason you use downward strokes is because your hair and your face grow downward. So if you do upward strokes, you're really going to show the texture of the hair on your face. Or if you just pat it in and do downward strokes, you won't see them as much. And that's that side done with a brush. So differences for brush and sponge is that with a brush, it's not going to absorb any product the way a sponge is. So you have to be more sparing with it, because you're going to have a lot more product to move around, where the sponge will pick up some of it. So you can blend it, but you're also going to be taking it off a little bit. And also, like, the texture of a sponge is a lot like skin, so when you bounce it on the skin, you don't have to work very hard at blending it, whereas if you're using a brush, you can get little brush strokes in your foundation, which doesn't look good, so sometimes you have to work a little harder to make sure it looks like skin. The next step is concealer. This one comes with an applicator, looks like that. Some of them don't, some of them come in a little pot, so if you have one that comes in a pot, you'll need a concealer brush as well. So I get a lot of darkness in there, so you can't miss that area. And under your eye. then you can also put a little bit anywhere that you have any imperfections. If your concealer is much lighter than your foundation, like mine, you can also use it to highlight, so you can put a little bit on your forehead if you want to, down your nose and on your chin. That's an unnecessary step if you don't want to do that. That's just something you can do so that the rest of your face looks highlighted like under your eyes. So using a beauty blender, you would just bounce on top, same thing as foundation. And I'll do this under eye with the beauty blender, and then I'll use a concealer brush over here so you guys can see the difference as well. You can also use your concealer to prime your under eyes for eyeshadow. So taking a concealer brush, all you do is blend your edges out. I'm just doing little swirls. This is actually a great time to show you the difference between the sponge application and a brush application. You can see the side that I've done the brush application is still much more opaque looking. So the sponge does pick up product, it does blend it out more nicely in my opinion. The brush leaves things where you put them. So you'd have to go back in with a brush, your foundation brush, and just blend your edges a bit. So I'm going to take the translucent powder, open it up, and you're going to pour a little bit into the cap. Using a small powder brush, pick it up. And check to see that any creases haven't formed under your eye, because if you set a crease, then it will stay creased. So go back in and just smooth out any creases. And then set your under eyes with translucent powder. Just bouncing it on top like this. You don't want to do sweeping motions when you're first laying the powder down, because then you can make brush strokes in your wet concealer. Whereas if you just press the powder down at first, if you press the powder down like this, you're leaving the powder where you want it, and then you can always do a brush stroke after to sweep any excess away. And then take your brush and deposit powder. And sweep away any excess. Last, you take your powder again. Take your bigger brush. And you're just going to sweep it all over everywhere to set your liquid foundation. So that's the basics for putting on your base. You just only need those 3 products that we talked about, which is foundation, concealer, and powder to set. If you guys want to see a video me using powder products, like powder foundation as opposed to liquids, let me know. It's really not my preferred method. You don't get the same amount of coverage, but if it's something that you guys use and you want to see me use, let me know and I'll make a video for the basics of applying that as well. Thanks for coming back, and I'll see you guys next time.